After a quiet couple days, Trump speaks on Iran, saying time is on our side. Let's check it out. All right, welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. After Iranian terror regime started playing hardball again last week, despite being down to its last gasps economically, the president has been suspiciously quiet for the last couple of days, leaving the media absolutely starving for content, we know. Today, the president did take questions in the Oval Office, indicating with Iran, time is on our side. Take a listen.
Don't rush me. We were in Vietnam like for 18 years. We were in Iraq for many, many years. We're in for all the, I don't like to say World War II because that was a biggie, but we were 4.5, almost 5 years in World War II. We were in the Korean War for 7 years. I've been doing this for 6 weeks, and their military is totally defeated.
He's got a point, right? While Trump fights the typical political and media pressure that he has faced every day of his presidency, the truth is all the pressure is on the other side right now. The lights are literally about to go out in Iran. It has been reported that in a matter of days, Iran is going to run out of oil storage due to the blockade and no oil exports going out. When that happens, Iran will be forced to shut down oil production. Doing that means permanent damage to its oil facilities, the bulk of Iran's entire economy. We're just waiting for that moment. They said it was going to take a couple of weeks, and we're getting pretty close to that point now. That means irreversible geological damage to those oil wells, as the president elaborated on. Take a listen.
Don't get their oil moving. Their whole oil infrastructure is going to explode. You know what that means? Because they have no place to store it. And because they have no place to store it, if they have to stop it, something happens underground that essentially renders it in very poor shape, and you never recover fully. You can recover 50, 60%, but you can never have it like it is right now. And they have a matter of days before that event takes place.
Yeah, matter of days till that takes place. And as much as the media and even some Republicans we know hate to admit it, the United States in this war is in the catbird seat. Iran's regime is crumbling, a regime that has terrorized this country and the world for nearly 50 years, a regime that all of Washington once agreed needed to be removed from power. It was a job that no other president had the stones to take on because of the moment we're in right now. It's obviously very hard to do this. It's very messy. That regime is embedded in the country. Nobody wanted to deal with this. Everyone knew it needed to be dealt with. And as the media endlessly hammers Trump with criticism, hoping that the weight of this war will tank Republicans in November, because that's what all the media wants, right? They want the Republicans to lose in November, and they're trying to find any way to make that happen. The truth is, the benefits of ending this regime for the United States, for the world, for global energy are far more important than just politics. And the president says that that moment when this regime is gone is going to happen one way or another.
They have all new leadership, and they're fighting like cats and dogs for who's going to control. Because we've created a real mess for them, but they've created a mess for the world over the last 47 years. They've killed a lot of our people. I took it out militarily. Now all we're doing is sitting back and seeing what deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily with the other 25% of the targets. We've hit 78% of the targets that we've wanted to hit.
So we're pausing, letting the regime get back into place or figure out who's in charge, right? In the meantime, friction in the Strait of Hormuz is the anti-Trump, pro-Iran talking point du jour. Claims that Iran is getting around the blockade. The White House and CENTCOM say that is all nonsense. What's the truth? Well, let's assume for a second that there have been a few got-away tankers, that the blockade has had a couple holes in it, and a couple Iranian tankers have managed to get around. Does that really matter? It is nowhere near enough oil to preserve Iran's terror regime. An errant ship or two is not going to make any difference at all. Iran is losing $500 million a day. The media is just so desperate for a way to make this war a political liability for Republicans. They are obsessing over any possible negative aspect of it. And they don't have a lot to go on, really. This has gone exceptionally well in the last 7-8 weeks with a 2-week pause. In reality, Iran's regime is toast. Our friend Victor Davis Hanson with an op-ed this week, How Iran Committed Suicide, explaining how the regime never thought Trump would return to power, while running circles around the Biden administration, which were Obama's leftovers. Once Biden had begged Iran to re-enter the Iran deal, lifted sanctions, sent cash, and removed terrorist designations from some of the proxies, the Khamenei regime, now flush with new oil revenues, logically stepped up its nuclear enrichment. This is a reality of this war that all the critics of it do not want to accept. Iran took our money and started working toward the nuclear endgame that it has dreamt of for decades. That's just the truth. That's what was happening. That was the impetus for all this. That was the reason that we're there. There is a logical reason to be in Iran and to do this. A lot of people hate that reality. Doesn't mean it's not true. Hanson continues explaining that Iran never thought Trump would return to power, and when he did, the emboldened and very arrogant regime, flush with Biden's money and Obama's money, refused to cool off its aggressive behavior. Usually when you have a tough guy in the White House, these bad guys kind of take a little break. Keep your head down for a second. Let's not do anything too crazy. Then when Biden or Obama get in, they make a lot of noise, right? They didn't do that this time when Trump got back in. That was the fatal error. But the political and media apparatus in our country desperately clings to anything, of course, that will make this war politically damaging. To wit, CNN trotting out John Kerry last night. Please enjoy this.
French, German, British, EU all agreed that the Iran nuclear agreement was working, that it allowed us to have the insights on what they were doing, that we had at least a year during which time they could not break out, possibly creating a weapon, and we would have the opportunity then to change the agreement or to negotiate something new or to bomb them if that were the case. And that has now become a hot confrontation, which remains with the exact same choices that we faced back in 2015 when President Obama decided that you had to try to resolve this first. Before you bomb, before you do what Prime Minister Netanyahu wanted to do, President Obama wanted to test the extent of diplomacy.
Wanted to let that breathe, didn't want to chop it up so you could hear everything he said unfiltered. Let's go through it. First, he starts off by saying the Europeans thought that the JCPOA was great and that it was working. That means absolutely nothing. As we all know, the Europeans are not a good gauge of pretty much anything foreign policy-wise. That's why the continent is collapsing. Obama paid Iran over $100 billion to buy what? A whole, he bragged about, we had a year of compliance. Oh, so we're going to pay $100 billion a year to get Iran to not destroy the world? Okay. Kerry even admits bombing Iran in that rant was a likely outcome of their negotiations, which is an admittance that what's happening right now probably needs to happen. Instead, though, the White House, the Obama White House, chose to simply ignore Iran cheating on their deal, which is exactly what they did. They knew. They didn't care. They wimped out. They snuck out of Washington. The deal was right at the very end of the administration. They snuck out of Washington, leaving the world far more dangerous. They didn't want to deal with having to call Iran out and what that could mean. They didn't want this to look like a failure, like all the people on the screen, failures when it came to Iran and a lot of other subjects as well. They just screamed their deal worked every chance they get. They jump on CNN screaming how great their deal was. It worked when it clearly failed. Everybody knows it failed. How much death and carnage did Obama and John Kerry fund around the world with that money? Ooh, we got a year of compliance. How much terrorism did we pay for? So these fools could pretend to have a foreign policy victory at the end of Obama's term. Iran ate John Kerry's lunch, made fools of the entire administration. Here was our current president on the Obama deal today.
I ended the Obama horror show. The nuclear transaction that he made was horror. I gave him a road to the, you call it, I mean, what the deal that he did, the Iran nuclear deal, was so bad. It gave him a road to a nuclear weapon. And I will tell you, I deal with them. You cannot give Iran a nuclear weapon. This is all about a nuclear weapon. They cannot have the nuclear bomb, and they're not going to have the nuclear bomb.
That's exactly why we're talking about this every day. KT McFarland, former Trump National Security Advisor, joins us now. Blaine Holt, retired Brigadier General. Good to have you both here. So, KT, let's start at the present time. Trump says time is on our side. He's allowing Iran to figure out who's in charge. Your thoughts?
You know, what President Trump said after he said time is on our side, why is it on our side? And it's the point that you just made. Iran is hemorrhaging money. They're getting no income from their oil sales. No oil tankers are going in. No oil tankers are going out of Iran. No ships are going into Iran. No ships are going out of Iran. So they're hemorrhaging money. The other thing, though, and this is the really important one, is why the clock is ticking so quickly, is that Iran probably has, by some estimates, a week, maybe at the most 2 weeks, where it has to have some place for that oil to go. So the way an oil well works is that oil comes out of the ground in a well, and then it goes through a pipeline, and the pipeline goes to Carg Island, and it deposits all of that oil in an empty tanker. And then the tanker, filled up, goes on its merry way. When you stop the ability of that pipeline to put oil in an empty tanker, the whole system starts backing up. Iran probably has excess capacity to store maybe a little bit of time, okay, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But what happens then? You can't just turn a switch and have the well stop pumping. It does enormous damage to the well, probably irreparable damage. And at the same time, you're going to prevent Iran from having any income after this war to rebuild any of this. So what happens in a week, 2 weeks? Their economy collapses.
And Blaine, what happens then?
So if we get to the collapse, what we would worry about if we lose the oil infrastructure is that even if the 90 million Iranians who want their freedom back were to take over, there's going to be deleterious damage to their economy. So what we need to do now is sort out where the IRGC targets are. We know that there's now a bifurcated leadership structure. That's what's going on. But it's over for them. This part of the war has been won. Now we have to manage what does this look like afterwards. We've already got the damage from the fertilizer not getting out. We've missed planting season in Africa. That is baked into the cake. So Scott Bessent, President Trump, they're on the right track. They're killing laundering. They're making them broke. We're going to drop some bombs. That is going to happen. But then what we have to stoke is this revolution, and that is the only way out of this thing.
That is, and KT, your thoughts on that, and then we gotta stop there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that if the IRGC doesn't want to do a deal, I think that you have to move beyond the IRGC and make 93 million Iranians are not going to go down with the IRGC.
That's interesting. Okay. KT, thanks so much. Blaine, ensconced in nature. Beautiful shot there, Blaine. Good to see you both. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
so much.
All right, Senator Dave McCormick joins us now. He's on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Sir, it's good to have you on the show. And we're in a very interesting moment here with Iran. We have this regime kind of posing in recent days as more defiant, while at the same time on the verge of financial collapse. And I'm wondering what you think is going to happen here, how this thing is going to end.
Well, I think we're at a really critical crossroads. I think the phase one of this campaign and operation has been extraordinarily successful. The president laid out some very specific military objectives. We made huge progress on destroying the drones, the missiles, the launchers, the manufacturing facilities. And he basically said we can't have Iran having nuclear capability or a path to a nuclear weapon. Now Iran has to decide. The blockade is working. It's putting enormous economic pressure. There's a corridor opening in the Strait of Hormuz where we're sending through about 12 to 15 ships a day. But we can go on for quite some time in this phase. And the question will be whether the Iranians opt for a peaceful resolution, give up the enriched uranium, and a path to prosperity for a great civilization, great people, that's been run by a bunch of radicals for 50 years, or they can continue to lie and obstruct. There's a lot of division within their leadership. And ultimately, we're going to have to use military capability to put additional pressure. We have twice the assets in the region that we did 30 days ago, and we have precision capability to take out dual-use manufacturing, dual-use facilities, dual-use energy production. So it's really a decision point for the Iranians.
It is, and it seems like they're really close to that moment when they're going to run out of storage for the oil, and they're going to have to start shutting down oil production, which is, as we've talked about on this show, that is a hugely impactful and negative way on their economy, and will hurt them very badly. And I think they're just pretending like that's not coming. And I think they're trying to see who can last longer. I don't think there's any question that Trump can outlast them in this moment.
Absolutely. Well, for a couple reasons. Number one, this is their entire economy is oil-based.
Exactly.
And as you said, if they shut down that production capability, it's going to be very hard to bring it back.
Right.
Second, because we have a strategy of energy dominance, because we're a net energy exporter, because the president has embraced the importance of our energy, we are far less dependent on the Strait of Hormuz than just about any other country in the world, certainly less than China, less than Europe. So we truly can withstand this indefinitely. Of course, we're paying a price at the pump. Gas prices are up by about $1, a little bit less in Pennsylvania. That's a real pressure on working families. So this isn't, something we want to have continue on a long-term basis. We got to get this resolved and get our troops back home. But make no mistake, this is existential for the Iranian regime, and that's why the blockade's been so powerful.
I got a minute left. I got two quick questions for you. First off, your thoughts on John Kerry jumping on CNN to criticize how Trump is handling Iran?
I mean, the great irony. I mean, 5 presidents have said Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, and the Obama deal led by John Kerry really put America at risk. Imagine Kamala Harris as the president for the last year and a half. Iran would be that much closer to being able to launch a nuclear weapon that would strike America.
I think they were betting on that, and they lost that bet. It cost them dearly. One final question to you. The Republican Senate taking the first steps in fully funding ICE and border protection for the rest of this term for the president using reconciliation. Bypassing Democrats, they've shut down DHS for 68 days. Want to play 10 seconds at Chuck Schumer. Take a listen.
Adding $140 billion to an agency that nobody, to two groups, Border Patrol and ICE, that nobody respects in this country.
Is this still an open border party? Did they not learn a lesson in the last election? Because look at what they're fighting right now.
It's disgraceful. We have a Democratic Party that's not only not paying the people who serve us, but who is putting America at risk at a time when the threat level is growing. It's all political theater. Republicans are united. We're going to fully fund ICE and the Border Patrol, all of DHS, past the time when the President Trump is in office. And that's going to make sure no more political jockeying, no more political theater, no more holding the government hostage. It's a disgrace. And unfortunately, the Democrats have forced us to move down a path. We're going to guarantee a delivery of that to the American people.
Senator, good to have you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Somali fraud queen Ilhan Omar has been very angry this week. If you've seen her around the Capitol, she appears very nervous as well. We're going to dive into Omar's financial disclosure scandal up next with Congresswoman Paulina Luna as the word felony has started to be whispered. Later in News from the Left, failed Governor Tim Walz with a warning for ICE.
We're going to bring them back and hold them accountable for what they did.
A Social Security update. Millions collect Social Security, but 70% of Americans don't get their full benefits. Now, a new report shows how to boost your Social Security by as much as $188,000. Author Matthew Allen reveals 5 key strategies in a new report. Newsmax calls it the best guide for retirees. Everyone needs this free Social Security report. Act today to get your full benefits.
Mike Hammond of Signal Relief. We've helped nearly 700,000 feel relief in their back, shoulders, and knees with our technology. But for many of us, it's our feet that hurt. And when they hurt, our walks get shorter, activities are skipped, and the moments we love start slipping away. That's why we created the Signal Step, a patent-pending insole built using the same proven technology people already trust from Signal Relief. Signal uses no drugs. There's nothing on the market like it. It's relief without the side effects. It's reusable, fits virtually into any shoe, and in a recent study, over 85% felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Feel relief with every step. If you're hurting, go to signalstep.com and get relief today.
Finally, your GLP-1 is as easy to take as a mint, no needles. Compounded tirzepatide is a mint-flavored tablet that dissolves under your tongue. It helps curb appetite and reduce cravings, including for sweets and carbs, making it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. Getting started is easy and surprisingly accessible with a quick online physician consultation.
Save $50 with code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
Welcome back. The queen of the Somali fraudsters could really be in some trouble here after initially filing financial documents with Congress claiming that her wealth had surged to between $6 and $30 million in 2024. Ilhan Omar is now facing investigations into her dealings and claiming she's only worth between $18,000 and $95,000. I mean, isn't that just the wildest thing? Omar blaming the vast disparity on major accounting errors, revising these numbers after the Office of the Congressional Conduct requested additional information earlier this year. She expects you to believe that some accountant made a multi-million-dollar error, that she's not actually super rich, that she's actually totally broke. I mean, if she was worth $100,000, that's in trouble if that's your worth. 9 days after Omar filed an amended financial disclosure, the California winery her and her husband, Tim Minette, co-owned has now dissolved. It's just evaporating. Republicans in Congress pointing to Omar and her husband's curious history of making money disappear when it suits them. House Oversight Chairman James Comer says Omar could be hit with felony charges if she is found to have lied about this cash. And this is just the beginning of the corruption and fraud that surrounds this woman. Congresswoman Paulina Luna joins us now. To start here for me, why would somebody claim to be worth $30 million and then change it to $100,000? Like, what would be the motive for that?
I don't know. I definitely know on $175,000 a year, it's kind of hard to get the $30 million.
Yeah.
But I do want to just point out, Rob, that what I'm finding right now in Congress, and as you know, in the last, week or so, because I threatened to expel Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, they resigned. We had shiftless McCormick that then resigned. We are seeing kind of a purge right now of many corrupt people. And I think if we're going to talk about, though, a legitimate investigation, whether or not it's a question of Ilhan Omar, did these things happen, we have to also, too, talk about at the same time that House ethics needs to overhaul. And there's also corruption within our own party that we can address and we should address, if you want to ask me more on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's let's talk about that. I know you also wanted to talk about, the insider trading ban and also poly market. Let's go ahead and have this conversation. A story just came out before the show came on about one of the guys they sent in to grab Maduro out of Venezuela actually bet on that and made $400,000, and the DOJ has now arrested him. One of the guys that went into Venezuela to do that operation back in December.
Yeah, so the reason I wanted to talk about that is because here you have an example of the DOJ saying, this is not fair. We're going to go and we're going to throw the book at this guy, right? Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying what he did is right. However, every single day in Congress, you have multiple members of Congress that are engaging in insider trading. We had an actual ban on this that we pressured leadership to bring to the floor, and we're going to get a vote on it. But Hakeem Jeffries, went and told the Democrats not to support this ban, and we were receiving own pressure from our own leadership on pushing this forward. And yet you have a member who went on this raid, which, by the way, our military members don't get paid a lot. But the member that goes on this raid places a bet, and yet he's facing, I think, up to 50 or 60 years in prison. So there is no double standard of justice, or there is no fair justice in this country if you have members of Congress getting away with it, and this guy doing it every day. So an unpopular take. I'm going to be asking for him to be pardoned. I'm going to ask that he they disgorge his profits and that he basically go back to the military, because at the end of the day, again, we have proof of this happening every day. Nancy Pelosi makes 17,000% returns on her stock investments. Yeah, she's not going to jail.
I totally
Democrats
agree.
and Republicans, 600%, not in jail.
And that list, when they show that list of the most corrupt, everybody is making a fortune. That's a multicolored list. It's red and it's blue. It's not to any one party. And you make a great point. I mean, this young man, obviously knew something, bet on it, had a big score for himself. Why is it that's where we're going to draw the line? I mean, it's going to be on him. That's going to be where we're going to have accountability, but we're not going to face it toward anybody in Congress.
Rob, I appreciate you letting me address this right now, because I want so badly to be able to talk about the wins that we have been delivering, right? Like the no tax on tips, everything that we've been doing to really further what the president has wanted and promised the American people. But I am literally serving with many people who are morally bankrupt, and it's on both sides. And unless we actually push for this type of accountability, here's a prime example. Most people go to jail over stuff like this. The banning insider trading, the inappropriate sexual relationships, the sexual misconduct, all of that, and yet you have people, you know, members of Congress going on TV telling the American people, I promise I'm going to do right by you. I promise I'm going to serve the American people and be honorable in the process. Not to say that they're all bad, but my goodness, when you have within, you know, the last week, 3 people being forced to resign because of unethical behavior, to include, by the way, the theft of $5 million in FEMA funds, yet she hasn't been perp walked and arrested by the DOJ. But yes, let's go arrest the individual from probably Delta that went and captured Maduro because he placed a bet. I mean, there is literally a blatantly obvious, you know, misjudgment here from the DOJ. So, look, don't agree with what he did, but obviously don't agree with members of Congress doing it either. And until that accountability is there for Congress, I'm going to ask for this guy to have a pardon.
You find, you know, and Trump likes this show. He watches this show. He might hear that. And I don't disagree with you. And the only times you find unity in Congress is when it's the rules against them. You always find that they join together on that. When it was let's expose all the charges, all the weird sexual stuff, and those whatever that vote was, that they all came together to make sure that didn't happen either. So it's one big party. They're all on kind of the same team in a weird way in Washington. You work in a very dirty place. That's good on you for bringing that out. You know, that's a real moment there from somebody in Congress. You don't see that every day. Paulina Luna, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up here after the break, a big debate last night in California. We've got Steve Hilton, the Republican, running for governor, looking stronger and stronger. Up next.
Big media will never stop their antics, their bias, their ugly insinuations, their nasty attacks. Well, they may never stop, but I will never stop exposing them.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in one visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet and exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 5-star reviews, and Lift EX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Sonia and Gerald trust Prevagen for their brains, and this is their story.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Gerald, and we live in Jacksonville, Florida.
We are both military veterans, and we provide dental care for underserved communities. We have a very busy life.
We take Prevagen for our brains.
I would honestly say I like the way that Prevagen makes me feel. At the end of the day, I feel confident and amazing.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
When my mother heard about Pure Talk's latest offer, she said, Michael, that's a third of what I'm paying my current provider. How's that even possible? I said, Ma, your current provider spent $12 billion last year on advertising and promotion. Pure Talk hired me to make a few commercials on my iPhone. That's why you can get unlimited talk and text with plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. You're welcome. Pure Talk, everything you need, nothing you don't.
Actual 5-star reviews of Bob's Cascade Bedroom, performed by 5 stars.
It is absolutely beautiful. The fluted details are gorgeous. 10 out of 10 experience. Oh my Bob!
Welcome back. Last night, candidates sparring in their first debate post-Swalwell as California looks for a new governor to replace gruesome Newsom. The 4 remaining Democrats on the fringes on the stage there all cannot wait to perpetuate the same ridiculous policies that have been tanking this incredible state for a number of years. They all sound exactly the same, as ridiculous as each other. Here's some of the highlights, including from our friend Steve Hilton there, the Republican.
Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced? Racial profiling is illegal. Governor Newsom's performance on homelessness. What letter grade would you give him?
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B.
I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness.
I would absolutely fight the Trump administration because the job of the California governor is to protect Californians. And right now, that includes protecting them from Donald Trump.
The GOP ones are strong. Steve Hilton, the Republican, joins us now. Sir, it's good to have you on. I thought you made the best message you had last night was, if you think this state needs to change, you've got to vote for somebody that's actually going to change it. Because these people are all going to do the same BS that's led to this mess that we have.
It's incredible to watch them actually go on about, oh, it's so terrible, and the regulations and the taxes, and it's so difficult, we can't build housing, and homelessness is really bad. Yeah, who's been in charge? Who's been in charge for 16 years? You have, and the policies that have driven us to this point, where we have the highest poverty rate, highest unemployment rate, highest costs of living in America, and many other things besides the worst in America, they're the same policies these people have. There's not a single difference among them. And there's not a single difference between them and what we have now, except to say that some of them would make it even worse. You look at Tom Steyer, I mean, he's far to the left of Gavin Newsom. Tom Steyer, the billionaire climate fanatic, he's running around pandering to every leftist group you can imagine. And that's why he ends up with these insane policies on ICE and on climate and all this. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. And so people think, well, the next guy couldn't be worse than Newsom. If it's a Democrat, could well be.
It's a top 2 thing. So it comes down to 2. I think you're going to be one of them. And it's looking like Tom Steyer is probably going to be the other one. When you get to that moment, in a state that blue, how do you get to the finish line? How do you actually take control of that state and fix it?
So the number one part of that, Rob, it's not the whole story, but it's a big part of it, is getting a big Republican vote. That's what people forget. There's actually a really strong base vote for Republicans and for President Trump. That's why when they ask me, oh, your endorsement by President Trump, is that going to hurt you? No, it's the exact opposite. Because actually, if you look at the number of people who voted for President Trump in 2024 in California, it's 6.1 million. That is actually more than enough votes to elect me governor in 2026. So getting a big turnout is a huge part of it. And there's another thing, which is on the ballot in California in November, will be voter ID. And that will be a huge turnout driver for Republicans as well.
Certainly will be. And yeah, we saw what happened with Caruso in L.A. when you try to be a little bit wishy-washy on Trump and everything. Exactly. You don't inspire anybody. You got to tell them, listen, this is your state. If you came out and voted for Trump in 2024 for president, this is your freaking state. Come out one more time and do it again. Yes. We can actually take this thing back and fix this thing. And that's just got to be the message. You got to get them out to vote. You did well last night, Steve. We appreciate you coming on.
Great to be with you, Rob. Thanks.
See you. All right. The New York Times opinion podcast platforming some of the most ridiculous Pol Pot-esque nonsense you've ever seen. We've got that coming up.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.
Mike Capel here, Patriot Software's founder. My second grade teacher asked the class, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Every kid answered doctor, lawyer, carpenter, teacher. I answered entrepreneur, which stopped her dead in her tracks. Seriously, what a geeky little kid I must have been. But I continued being a business geek and started multiple companies. Some failed, some succeeded. Patriot Software helps entrepreneurs build their businesses without worrying about their accounting and payroll. That's patriotsoftware.com.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. Family and loved ones brutally killed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25, you can help rush an emergency food box to the elderly Jews in Ukraine. Many of them are hungry, frightened, and alone. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact. Call now, and your gift's impact will be doubled.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 helps rush emergency food to elderly Jews in Ukraine who are in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online right now.
I will not starve. Thank you, good people.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
I'm putting with Abe Lincoln's cane right now.
These are 40-something years old.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, come on!
I really believe that God put us on a course to take care of all these catastrophic needs of service members, Gold Star widows.
It's because of all of them that we get to do what we do.
Let's do good together.
Let's do it. People got to give every time I miss.
You got to give $11.
There we go. You're the man. Donate $11 a month at t2t.org.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist-recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
I'm proposing a new term, micro-looting. People are taking small things from big corporations.
I'm pro stealing from big corporations because, you know, they steal quite a bit more from their own workers.
I think that stealing from a big box store, I'll just state my platform. It's neither very significant as a moral wrong. I did steal from Whole Foods on several occasions. Like, I'm just going to go back, grab those 4 lemons and get the hell out. And
you should go to prison.
I know. You think they're going to ban me?
They should throw you in jail.
But I didn't feel bad about it at all.
The lemons that you stole are factored into the bottom line of these mega corporations. Or if someone needs the food, they should absolutely steal it.
So if you don't listen to the New York Times Opinions podcast, you're missing some Pol Pot-esque content there. the two millionaire guests, Hassan Piker, the streamer idiot we've talked about a lot lately, and New Yorker magazine writer Gia Tolentino openly advocating for just shoplifting. Just take whatever you want because corporations are so evil. And even though they're very wealthy, anybody richer than them is the actual problem. Both these two live in multi-million-dollar houses, by the way. They pay as little as they can in taxes, but they're the good guys because they say you can steal anything you want. The streamer Hassan Piker proceeds to say many people understand even the accused murderer Luigi Mangione, the one that shot the healthcare executive here in New York. Take a listen.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American. I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
Welcome to the Marxist New York Times in the world of that. Rick Leventhal, Ed Henry join us now. Ed, your reaction to this kind of comment coming from the New York Times opinion section, pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's bad enough that they're talking about, oh, it's not so bad to steal a little bit here and there after lecturing us for a year or so about affordability, when obviously, as was pointed out, you know, basically a corporation, because of the micro-looting and other stealing and all the rest, will raise everybody else's prices to make up for the 4 lemons that were just stolen or whatever other thing this knucklehead is talking about. But much, much worse, obviously, is even suggesting there's some kind of justification for murdering a father in the middle of the streets in Midtown Manhattan to justify that somebody got knocked off their health insurance. So Luigi Mangione might not be such a bad guy. It's despicable, obviously, beyond words.
It is. You know, Rick, it's funny because, you know, we should start talking about confiscating the homes and the wealth of the two people on that podcast. I mean, they have far more money and property than 99.9% of the world. We should take his house, we should take his bank account and give it to everybody else and see if he can survive on the streets. That would be fair, right?
Am I allowed to say the word douchebag on your show? Because
you are
this guy
absolutely
sounds
allowed.
like such a douchebag and dangerous, advocating for murder, but also for stealing. He was like, oh, yeah, bank robberies are totally cool. Yeah, stealing priceless artifacts. Oh, I'd totally do that. I mean, first of all, you're stealing that artifact from the world because everyone can't enjoy it if it's sitting in your basement. And second of all, you're not allowed to steal, okay? Law and order matters. And if they stole from him, he'd probably be the first one to call the cops.
Yeah. It is something
like an
else.
Idiot
He certainly is.
Yeah.
I want to show you guys this, if we can pull it up. Molly Ringwald, the 1980s actress who's in a lot of great movies. She is, later in her career, completely lost her mind, obsessing over politics and apparently over ICE. Take a listen to this.
This is a fascist government. If you look at what happened in France, they were taken over by the Nazis. A lot of people collaborated. Eventually, they got their country back, and those people who collaborated were found to be criminal. And that is what's going to happen. You are going to be seen as a collaborationist. These are children who are being taken away from their parents. These are mothers. These are people that are good people. You have to look at what kind of country you want to live in.
What kind of country you want to live in? Ed, I want to live in a country that's got borders. How about that?
Yeah, look, you got Trump derangement syndrome, like personified in 35 seconds there. The lies about little kids being stripped away from their parents by ICE, which is very rare, if at all. They lie about that. The comparisons to Nazis, check that box. And then also the weaponization. They want to go right back to it. When we get power again, we're going to throw you all in jail. Not just Trump. We're going after anybody who is collaborating. And so I think the bottom line here, we know that the left is crazy crazy, and that proves it again. But I think it should be a wake-up call to the Trump DOJ, frankly, that they better get serious about holding people who actually did break the law, like John Brennan or someone else, and hold them accountable now while the Republicans have power. I'm not saying weaponize. I'm saying hold people accountable if they did break the law, because the left is coming after you whether you broke the law or not. Just wait.
Yeah, Rick, finish it off. Go ahead.
Well, I just feel kind of sorry for Molly Ringwald. She apparently went off the deep end and saying so many things that just don't add up, including calling Trump a fascist and then saying this is a fascist government. Forcible suppression of opposition? No, that's Iran. They're the ones who are murdering protesters in the streets. Donald Trump is encouraging protests. He's encouraging freedom of speech, but he also encourages law and order. And ICE is out there enforcing the law. And she's so upset about the little kids and the innocent people.
Yeah.
But a lot of those illegals are murdering innocent people, American citizens, and ICE is doing its job in getting the worst of the worst off the streets. Good for them, and she needs to wake up.
Tremendous amount of misinformation built throughout that entire rant that she went on. It was much longer than that. That's just the 40 seconds we cut. And I miss her in Pretty in Pink, you know, and Breakfast Club. I mean, those were the days, right? It used to be so simple.
Oh,
Ed Henry, Rick Leventhal, good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next up, news from the left. In some blue cities, nothing is safe.
Stop. Check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. This frame is an 8-base wrap, so it's going to sit close to your face, give you wide peripheral vision, stay on tight, but it also has a squared off lens for a versatile everyday look. And then you have comfort fit adjustable rubber nose pads for secure fit as well. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
What's gold is new again, pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BC, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started?
Text Newsmax to 50505 to get your free information and up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. That's right. Text Newsmax to 50505.
All right. No way you can miss it.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
Finally, your GLP-1 is as easy to take as a mint, no needles. Compounded tirzepatide is a mint-flavored tablet that dissolves under your tongue. It helps curb appetite and reduce cravings, including for sweets and carbs, making it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. Getting started is easy and surprisingly accessible with a quick online physician consultation.
Save $50 with code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
Started doing the Heimlich maneuver. That didn't work. We had people around us that were in the medical field, and they said, hey, you're doing everything right. Then people started shouting, get the life back, get the life back. Probably been a minute and a half, 2 minutes without any oxygen. He was completely gray. She put the life back right on his face, did it. He gasped for air. She did it again a few seconds later, and the grape hit the back of the mask.
And the ambulance would not have been there in time to save Jeremiah. He was gone.
Be prepared. Go to lifeact.net today.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. The failed political career of Tim Walz on its last gasps, going on to Kimmel for an ego boost, but he ended up taking one tough question on all the fraud that he willfully allowed, the billions of your dollars that he allowed to be stolen by a very friendly constituency that he did not want to anger. Jimmy even had to ask this question. Take a listen.
We were going back, and many of these people were prosecuted in 2021. He used it as an excuse because it was a perfect thing to do to say there was fraud. Imagine that. You know, coming from this guy, he would know fraud. Demonized the immigrant community, especially the Somali community. And I said what he was doing was the programs in Minnesota, look, we are a generous state. We're also, like California, we're a payer state. We pay more in than we get back to support red states that don't support their people. But they came in to try and destroy those programs. And you know, that's again, Rich, destroy programs that don't help them by billionaires who commit this fraud. But no, it was an excuse for them to do it. Thank goodness the people of Minnesota showed the courage, stood up and pushed back.
None of that made any sense, by the way, especially toward the end. He's talking about billionaires committing fraud and what I don't even know where he was going. Nobody understood the answer to that. I listened to it 3 times. Still don't know what he said. He has no idea what he said. Not that anybody's surprised. That's Tim Walz, and that's why he's toast. Next up, nothing is safe in blue cities these days. Thieves are stealing fire hydrants in Detroit. Crews with Detroit Water and Sewage racing to repair broken hydrants on Southfield Road across the west side after thieves tore through dozens of fire hydrants in about 2 days. They're stealing the metal nozzles and the stems on top of the hydrants, which you apparently can sell for about $600. So ridiculous. We're trying to live in a society here, people. Next up, a year after DOGE, former federal employees are still struggling to find work. NBC News speaking to 13 former federal employees and contractors laid off during the DOGE cuts. 7 are unemployed still. 2 are reemployed, making a lot less than they did. Government money is good and easy. 2 have side hustles. 4 have moved to find work as well. Well-Fed, an organization that supports former federal workers, estimates 25% of its members have found new jobs. 75% have not found a job. OneAid, another organization for former USAID workers, estimates 50% of its membership is still unemployed because a lot of these people had it real easy. And now they don't. And finally, a liberal media outlet founded by advisors to Bernie Sanders launching a project to counter Turning Point USA. It's going to be called Perfect University, a more perfect university, focusing on recruiting and training liberal content creators on campuses across the country. You can bet that the face of that organization will not meet the same fate as Charlie Kirk. As sad as that is to say, the violence comes from one side. After losing 12 games in a row, the Mamdani curse is finally over. Our producer Brent headed to Citi Field to see what Mets fans think of the mayor. It's good, and it's next.
You know Rob Finnerty. He's smart, bold, and stands strong for your values. Rob is fighting for you. Watch Finnerty weeknights only on Newsmax.
Mike Hammond of Signal Relief. We've helped nearly 700,000 feel relief in their back, shoulders, and knees with our technology. But for many of us, it's our feet that hurt. And when they hurt, our walks get shorter, activities are skipped, and the moments we love start slipping away. That's why we created the Signal Step, a patent-pending insole built using the same proven technology people already trust from Signal Relief. Signal uses no drugs. There's nothing on the market like it. It's relief without the side effects. It's reusable, fits virtually into any shoe, and in a recent study, over 85% felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Feel relief with every step. If you're hurting, go to signalstep.com and get relief today.
At Ancestry, we believe every question about the past is a spark. And when curiosity strikes about the everyday lives of your family, we're here with answers only your ancestors can provide. How is your family woven into 250 years of U.S. history? Find out now at Ancestry.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta. proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
Ever wished you could brew your own beer, but figured it was too complicated, too messy, too much effort? Well, now you can. Meet Pinter, the home beer system everyone's talking about. Fresh beer, brewed and tapped by you. No fuss, no guesswork. Just brew, chill, tap, done. Craft 12 pints with every brew. Crisp lager, juicy and hoppy IPAs, smooth stouts, and now including beer royalty, Lagunitas, the latest in our range of 30-plus beers and breweries on Pinter. Freshly tapped, Sumpin' Easy Remixed. A favorite from the archives, given a Pinter twist. Brew today with your friends. Bring the Lagunitas taproom into your home. You don't need a brewery in the garage. Just a Pinter. Right now, get your Pinter free with our flexible beer plan. Tap into the world's best beer experience. Free Pinter. Freshly brewed beer. Zero fuss. Go to pinter.com/beer to claim your offer today.
Finally tonight, after losing 12 straight since Mamdani hugged their mascots, the Mets curse, the Mamdani Mets curse, was broken last night. The New York Mets finally won a game, defeating the Minnesota Twins 3-2. So we sent our producer Brent to the stadium last night to get reaction from the fans and see what they think of the mayor. Take a look.
Here outside Citi Field, the Mamdani Mets curse is over. After losing 12 games in a row since the mayor's team visit where he hugged the mascots, the New York Mets have finally won a game.
Let's go, Mets! We're winning this whole thing.
We're going to the World Series. The Mamdani curse is over.
Oh, thank God it's over.
It was just a matter of time.
People say we suck. Nah, bro. Let's keep going.
Do you blame Mamdani for this recent losing streak?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you blame Mayor Mamdani?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's all his fault.
100% his fault. Mayor Mamdani, I can't even gotta get out of here. The reason the Mets are in shambles right now is because of Mamdani.
He did curse the team. That's his fault. Mamdani, you can't. Don't come to another game. You're not invited. You are the bad luck charm.
I think it's just a coincidence.
The Mambino instead of the Bambino.
Mamdani freaking, oh my gosh.
Blame him, let's go. I blame a lot of people.
Blame the bullpen.
As soon as we took the picture with him, losing. Listen, we don't want anyone hugging mascots.
And I had to pay for the bus to get here. Come on.
I'm not rooting against that commie. He's a curse to New York. He needs to get out of here. I have physical proof that I uncursed the Mets. Mamdani hugged the mascots. So did I tonight.
So you hugged Mr. Met and you uncast the spell of Mamdani's hug.
Exactly. Notice how the Yankees, feel me, my home team, they not in shambles right now.
Remember who visited the Yankees?
Who?
President Trump.
That's the difference.
So a lot of people were saying President Trump is probably the good luck charm.
He is. He really is. He's the best president we ever had. You keep going to the Bronx, Donald Trump. You see how the Yankees is killing?
Yankees. The Mamdani curse is over, baby. Let's go!
Trump met the team. Mamdani just met the mascots. Finity's next.